Welcome to the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and this is the place to get all the information on what's going on inside the athletic department at IU Kokomo. And joining us today is Sydney Duncan. She recently won the shot put in the NAIA Indoor National Championship meet. I'm excited to have you back. I knew it was a possibility of doing this, but you got the trophy, you got the medal, you're here in person. Congratulations. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
If you can't tell, I'm a little nervous too. I've never done a show with a national champion. So if you see a little nerves come out of me, it might be. But what was it like being in that meet?
Honestly, since we practiced in the facility so long, by the time it got to the meet, I felt pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
I expected that I was going to be a lot more uncomfortable in the ring almost, which was pretty true with weight. But by the time we got the shot put, I was ready to go, and I felt pretty much in my zone.
What did you? So I read. I don't know if you wrote, if Colvin wrote it or Grant Patterson wrote it, but I read the write up afterwards, breaking down the different throws, and it said that you won by 2 meters. Did you know that throw was going to be the one that went that far?
I did not know that it was going to go 1760. I released it, and Grant can kind of attest. There's a feeling that you're like, that went far.
Yeah.
And I felt it because I stepped out of the ring and I had this like kind of excited, shocked look on my face. And then I was on my way over to Grant because we always do like a video debrief after.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me the distance. And this is probably my favorite part of the entire meet is Grant loses his mind. He gets so excited, and he told me that if I threw 17 that he was going to go crazy all week anyway, which I knew it was possible, but I wasn't expecting really to do it. And so when it happened and he heard the mark and he saw it, he literally, I'm not a hugger.
Yeah.
Like I don't love hugs.
Yeah.
But we hugged because it was a good moment.
Yeah.
And then this man picks me up off the ground and starts spinning me in circles. And I'm like, my feet are not on the ground right now, and I don't really know what to do. And then we had to reset after that because I still had 3 more throws to do. But that was definitely my favorite moment of the entire meet.
So at the end of the day, when you were able to get the medal and get this plaque here right in front of us, what was that feeling like inside of you when you received that award for winning the national championship?
There was a little bit of relief because I had put so much pressure on myself throughout the season to actually do this. And I know that a lot of my teammates had expected me to do it. So it was a lot of relief mixed with a lot of pride in my work because my season has gone so well from the fall training to now.
Mm-hmm.
There's just been so much growth, so it was really just a happy moment.
In what areas have you grown this season?
Technique-wise, obviously I've gotten a lot better. Having more than 6 months of spinning under my belt has definitely helped that a little bit.
Yeah.
Grant's probably better at saying this than I am, but I have grown in certain more like mental ways,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really
Yeah.
know how to explain super well, but that's happened too. So.
How has he helped you? Because I think it was the last time you were here, you talked about Grant and some areas that he's helped you throughout the season, but how did he help you just in that week leading up to the meet itself?
It was a lot of, honestly, a lot more hands-off than I was expecting.
Okay.
He was still there, like, taking videos and making comments about stuff. But usually in weeks up to that, there's a lot more conversation about things I need to fix. But in that moment, like that whole week, it was a lot of minor tweaks, and he kind of just let me throw and find my rhythm and kind of just get everything tightened down on my own without putting a bunch of like new thoughts in my brain.
You've also mentioned on the show that some of the goals that you have set in the beginning of the season kind of had to get renewed because of the way you were going throughout the year. Was your goal to always win the national championship?
Yes.
Yes?
I can tell you we had our team meeting like earlier in December, I think, or maybe a little bit before that. And the coaches asked me, they're like, what are your goals? And I think the first one I said was national champion in shot put indoor. So I'd been on the plate since the get-go.
What are some of your goals for outdoor season?
Follow up my national champion indoor with outdoor. Keep that going. I'd also like to improve my hammer positioning from last year. And then maybe, hopefully, depending on how it goes, qualify in disc.
You mentioned that last time. I was hoping you said that again. Which one's your favorite?
Shot put's my favorite.
Why?
A lot of it, I think, has to do with I'm naturally better at it, so it's easier for me to enjoy it. but it also, for some reason, works well with my brain, and it's like less stressful for some reason, and it takes less thinking than the others do.
Discus seems hard too. Like I know like shot put's the easiest. I feel like discus would be one because every time I see it, I feel like I'm going to get sick. I know you're not spinning around the circle that long,
Yeah.
but I've done it before. I wasn't good enough. I told you this before probably. When I did discus and shot put in high school, I was trash. I wasn't able to get the mechanics of anything going well. But when I see people at like the Olympics or even in college, I'm thinking, man, it just seems so difficult. When you started doing that, was it hard for you to pick that up?
Like just disc in general?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in high school I was terrible at disc. Like I was not very good, and it's hard to teach high schoolers a lot of it, especially since I wasn't spinning in high school. I was gliding. It's different. A lot of my issues is that I don't relax very well, which makes it really hard to throw disc for because you need to be relaxed and you need a lot more like whip in your arm than you do for shot put. So it's definitely harder, but we're getting there. We're making good progress.
What's some advice you have for younger athletes?
Don't be afraid to do the sport. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to throw or I don't want to run. And a lot of like throwing specifically, kind of young girls get like a bad rap for it. They're like seen as way too masculine, or they're like, oh, it's not a girl's sport, but it's really, you can find your place in anything. So I would say just do the sport and don't let other people tell you what you can do.
Last thing here for you. You have been here, I think, your sophomore season, and you've had a lot of success. There's going to be recruits that come through all throughout the year trying to see if IUK is the right spot for them to compete in track and field. What is your recruiting pitch for a potential athlete to come to IUK and say why this is the right place for them?
A lot of it, okay, I'm also not very good at this.
Take your time.
A lot of it will probably have to do with the coaching staff. Like our coaches are amazing, especially Grant. He's really patient and he knows what he's talking about, and he works to specialize every athlete for what they need. But also Colvin and Jordan are pretty invested, obviously, in our program. So the community and the coaching staff alone is really nice, but I'm also hoping to like kind of beef up our resume a little bit so people are like, oh, this program knows what they're doing and they're not scared to come here.
I love that mindset. Coming up next, we get to talk to Grant Gaylor, who is her coach, and also the other individual at IUK that's also won a national championship in track and field. As the Cougar Cast rolls on, I'd like to welcome into the show Grant Gaylor. He's the throws coach at IUK. He also won a national championship as a thrower at IUK as well. Grant, welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. The last time you were here, you weren't behind the microphone. You were sitting back with the other coaches, observing the athletes. And as you were over there observing Sydney talk, what was going through your mind as she was talking about winning the national championship?
I thought it was a completely realistic goal, and I thought that her approach to training is already really good, if not elite. So if you have that great training process, results are bound to come. It's just a matter of when.
So she talked about that moment when you guys hugged, and she said she's not a hugger, which you know that, but there was an embrace, but also a feeling of a celebration, satisfaction, all those words to talk about the feeling you two had in that moment. Why was that the reaction when that throw was made?
So in round one, I was really excited because I knew she popped the 1646, and I knew that that was her best opener of her career so far. So I knew that bigger throws were to come. But I was clapping, but I wasn't psyched yet. I'm like, I know there's way more in the tank. And she opens up 1654, and I'm like, okay, we're building. And I'm like, you got to hit this last one because I know that you're like she's like an early rounder where she's going to pop one in the first three. By the time you get to final, if she's not riding that, she won't fade, but she won't hit a huge number. So I had in my mind, I'm like, you can throw 17 meters. And I feel like that's kind of pushing the limits of where we're at the end of indoor. So when I saw 17, I was already freaking out. I saw 6, and I'm like, that's even further than what I thought.
Yeah.
So that takes her from like a really good collegiate female thrower to borderline elite. Because right now she's 43rd in the world.
In the world?
In the world. Not just collegiately. She's like top 20 in collegiately, but she's top 50 in the world right now as it stands. So that takes you up from, she was in like top 100. That takes you up to that borderline like international elite.
So I'm listening to you talk and describe the world aspect of it, taking it outside of just the collegiate, what we normally talk about. Do you think she can crack the top 30?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
It's a matter of time.
Why do you believe that?
When you look at an athlete, obviously physical size and like all the capabilities that come with that are important. But what precedes that for me as a coach is what's between their ears.
Yeah.
Sydney from day one has always been a performer, and she's always had an elite mindset. So watching her physical capabilities, it's kind of like being unlocked. Like, the end. Coming into the season, I was like, okay, she can probably throw 16 by the end of outdoor. I didn't expect her to push 18 meters by the end of indoor, and that's like there's so many college girls who never break 17. Like even in the Power 5, like Power 4 level, they don't touch that. So watching her, it's like, if we keep this training process up, it's less than 2 years, and she has another 2 years, and then if she wants post-collegiate, got a whole another year of just one event. I think the sky's the limit. I don't even want to put a number on it because it's like right now she's, if she was a senior, she would be in a position to qualify for the Olympic trials as it stands, even if the numbers go up in terms of women's throwing. So I don't know what's capable.
What were your first thoughts when you met Sydney for the first time?
I thought she was a pro.
Even as a high school athlete?
Yeah.
Why? I'm going to ask why the whole time.
Because in athletics at the high school or collegiate or professional level, you can see some people might be elite, but they're not a pro.
Right.
Because their mindset. Sydney came in and was very reserved, but I knew that she wasn't just it wasn't one in one ear out the other. It was like she was thinking about everything that we were saying and talking about and really considering things. So especially when she went and got 8th at state, she was back like in a couple weeks after, 2 to 4 weeks after, ready to all right, I'm ready for summer training. I'm like, most kids and at that time she was like an elite high school thrower, borderline elite. Like most kids who do that will be like, I'm gonna take some time off, relax over the summer, I'll see you in the fall. But she's like, nope, I want to learn right now.
I love that. What are some memories you have from when you won the outdoor shot put national championship in 2021?
One of my favorite memories from that whole meet was just the excitement and just that feeling heading into the meet and knowing that I could win, even though it was like a number 4 seed. And I went in, and round 1 opened up, and the most fun thing to do in an athletic competition is to take the air out of the room.
Yeah.
And when you bomb something that nobody's hit all season and you open up, I didn't even know that I'd thrown that far. I thought they said 1824, because that would have been like a little over a 1.5 PR. Or not even. That was, a little bit less. But when they said 1874 going to the final, I'm like, I couldn't even. I was like, okay, this is over. Let me go chase some. And then I remember there's this guy, Jaja Davis. He was a glider, and he had a huge PR, and he came up and he's like, take it in, man. Like, you enjoy it. Like, he was just all about it. Like this, I never met this dude in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best parts about NAIA and even the whole collegiate throwing community is everyone's there cheering for you, and they want to see you win no matter what.
You say you like to nerd out, and I would love to get into some of the training that you and Sydney, and really all the other throwers, not just Sydney specifically, but all the other throwers, your brother being one of them, Gabe Wedmore, and your brother also threw at the Indoor Nationals. So what's some of the training like for these athletes, especially when they're preparing for a national meet?
So preparing for a national meet, you're going to cut down on some of your volume that you're doing in the weight room. So instead of lifting 5 days a week, we're going to lift 4. We're going to pick less strenuous, more power-based exercises. So like trying to get more plyometric stuff, trying to really be poppy, moving our body weight well. And then we're going to taper throws down so you feel like you have enough repetition to feel confident, but you're able to like be fresh and put something on the ball. So that's kind of what we've working. And then, like she said, I kind of cut her loose. It's because if I introduce too much at the last second, if I really like, okay, we need to chase this, chase that, it's like you need to be more smooth rather than technically perfect. Because her technique's not perfect. Nobody's is, right?
Yeah.
But if I can get it to where she's smoothed out and confident enough with her technique, that's going to give her the best chance of throwing far at, within the time frame of like 2 to 4 weeks. Now, 2 to 4 years, you can change a lot and you have a lot of time.
I feel like if you try to do too much, especially in that week leading up or even at some off-season training that's right before the season starting, it can mess up your mental. The mental aspect of being a thrower, even being a runner in any sport. If you try to do too much at the wrong time, it could lead to disaster. And your technique is one that I love, but also I realize a lot of coaches never figure that out. A lot of coaches really struggle with, I want to give you all this right now. It could be the wrong time of the season, but I want to give it to you all. All of a sudden, they're like, I can't handle this. These athletes, it seems like they not only can handle it, you're able to tailor it to them, and it's been very successful.
Yeah, being able to really focus on the macro and what's, the biggest thing about the throw that we need to fix. I like the back to front approach where you start with your wind up and your entry and you focus on the middle and the front last, because it's a closed chain sport and we have to start upstream, work downstream. Usually you want to give your athletes 1 to 3 cues. Usually for most people, 2 cues is perfect. And then you just keep working them and you give it time to see if it's going to work. And then if, there's an off throw where something goes weird, you just chalk it up to that's a technical inconsistency. You don't worry about if the shot came off, their thumb instead of their index and middle finger. You just keep rolling. You don't stop practice and recenter on that. You just, all right, let's keep grinding, keep working, see if this is going to click.
Is it hard coaching your brother?
No,
No?
not at all.
I think it might be. I was thinking that you guys might get into brotherly arguments. Maybe a good way to describe it.
No, we kind of worked all that out in childhood.
Oh, you guys fought a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Who won?
Me.
Every time?
Yeah.
Man, I was hoping that he got you at least twice. That'd make for a better story.
He's a scrapper, but he fights. But I was also 3 years older, and I'm still bigger.
Yeah. I've heard that he's had some injury challenges throughout his career. I don't know all of them. You know better than I do. What was it like to see him qualify this year for that national meet, knowing all the stuff that he's gone through?
It was, for me, it was like almost as aspiring as her winning. And not to diminish what she's done,
No, yeah.
and not to put him on a pedestal, but he's had, I think he went over 1,000 days without a PR in shot put. And he had a surgery, and he's had this, adductor issue and just random aches and pains. And so for him to PR, as a fifth year, it's like, it was really inspiring to me. And I feel like the rest of the team is like, watch him be able to finally get one. And then now we're, he had a really consistent series at nationals. So we have something to build on, and his pain and level and everything's back down. So, no, it was very fun to be able to coach him again at the national level.
What are your goals for the throwers that you coach in the outdoor season?
My goal is to build their technical consistency and efficiency, and then have, everything feel light and fast when we head to the, conference and nationals. Is just let's get more efficient, work on the things we know what to do, and keep building.
I appreciate Grant Gaylor for coming on the show. I appreciate Sydney Duncan for also coming on the show as well. They both have won national championships at IUK as shot putters, him in 2021, Sydney about a week ago. I just enjoy having them on the show and talking about their success and what's to come in the outdoor season. This has been the Cougar Cast. We'll see you next time.